Orcs Must Die is a game with an amazing name. Developed by Robot Entertainment, a studio with an amazing name, is a game with an amazing concept. Turn orcs into mass grave in absurd over-the-top fashion. In this pilot episode, we are going to play through the game, remove all nostalgia, and find out, is the game good? So why don't we play Orcs Must Die? Orcs Must Die is a pretty simple game. Orcs come from these doors, and your goal is to stop them from getting to the rifts. If too many get through the rifts, you lose. Thankfully, you have a huge bag of tricks at your disposal. You protected the rift using intricate layouts of traps, magic, weapons, and soldiers called guardians. The gameplay and concept is pretty simple, but strategy is incredibly important. On some levels I found myself just staring at the layout wondering how on earth I was going to kill off the orcs while protecting the rift. Killing orcs and upgrading your defenses is the core gameplay loop. And it's a very fun gameplay loop at that. I have tons of fun just building huge intricate layouts of traps to kill orcs with, and then upgrading those layouts as I killed more and more orcs. In Orcs Must Die, you play as the War Mage, the last apprentice of an order who protect the world from orcs, called the Order. It's not a very original name, but it works. He also busts out really cool dance moves whenever you get a perfect score. So why don't we look at some of the tools that help you get that perfect score? Let's start with the weapons. In Orcs Must Die, you have two main choices: the crossbow and the sword. The crossbow is a long-range precision instrument of death. The crossbow can kill most enemies in one hit, but anything it doesn't kill takes huge damage. However, the crossbow is a precision weapon. It can one-shot certain enemies, but it can take up to 10 shots to the chest for those same enemies. Precision is key, and without it, you probably won't last long without a good line of defense to back you up. Weapons in Orcs Must Die have an alternative fire that use mana. The alternative fire for the crossbow is a concussive shot. The concussive shot is a shot that can stun every single enemy in the game. This is not a single target attack though. This is an area of effect attack, so you can hit a wall, a floor, or a piece of the map to stun a huge amount of enemies at one time. If you can't tell, the crossbow tends to be like the cooler older brother of the sword. Sword is a close-range brawler type weapon. In exchange for dealing huge damage, you also take huge damage. It's very high risk, high reward, but I don't really like it. However, if you're smart, you'll stun an enemy with the crossbow, then swap to the sword to deal massive damage and kill it. Doing this is the fastest way to kill enemies like trolls or armored trolls. However, in a game with limited item slots, I don't really use it too much and it feels more like a wasted slot. Moving on to the most entertaining way to kill hordes of enemies, and the selling point of Orcs Must Die, is the traps. Traps are the definitive way to turn a group of orcs into a group of shallow graves. Traps range from basic floor spikes and tar pits to traps that send orcs flying across the map or burned into ash. Standout traps for me are the spring trap, no, not that one, and the barricade. Spring traps can be used to fling orcs into pits of lava or into an endless chasm. Seeing an orc blast off like Team Rocket at the end of an episode of the original Pokemon anime always gives me a kick, and is definitely my favorite way to kill an orc. The barricade, however, is the more complex trap of the two. Though seeming to be a basic last line of defense, the barricade is much more than that. As you can see here, the barricade can force orcs to be funneled into an artificial choke point that sends them straight to hell. Seemingly impossible levels can be trivialized by careful barricade placement. Be careful though, barricades tend to be one of the most expensive traps in the game. One lone orc can destroy them and leave you with a broken funnel and wasted money. No refunds. If they are destroyed, they are gone, so you better plan carefully and protect them. Other traps are floor spikes, tar pits, wall spikes, that sort of thing. Effective trap layouts both slow down and deal damage. The maps in Orcs Must Die range from basic narrow hallways to huge castles with winding corridors. However, unique layouts mean not every strategy will work on every map. Some traps go on the ceilings, so if you're in a big open map, you can't use ceiling traps. The same can be said about wall traps. If there's no wall, you can't use a wall trap. Next up is magical items. Magical items like the flame bracers use mana to cast devastating spells. And I think the footage kinda speaks for itself. Magical items are kinda busted and usually my go-to way of killing orcs. Hot tip, use the right click to just kill an entire wave of orcs in one click. It is ridiculously fun, but ridiculously overpowered. I don't even use that on some maps because it just trivializes the game. Last up in our bag of tricks are guardians. Guardians, like archers, are only good in bulk. They tend not to be great because anything that can be done with 10 archers can usually be done with 3 barricades and 1 or 2 traps. However, I really like that one scene in 300 where he says they'll fight in the shade and all of the arrows block out the sun. So I just always use archers. I just think they're really fun. I just love just standing in the back with all of the archers and just orcs just dying to arrows. It's not really effective, but damn, it is fun, and it's probably my favorite way to play the game. Probably the most important thing in a game about killing orcs is the orcs themselves. There are 14 different types of orcs in Orcs Must Die. A few examples are enemies like the basic orc. He just runs at you with a weapon and a whole lot of courage. Crossbow orcs are longer range warriors that deal huge damage from afar with crossbows. A small group of crossbow orcs can easily overpower any archers you have, so you have to be careful. However, crossbow orcs die in one shot to the head from the crossbow, so be sure to use that. Trolls are tanks who soak up huge amounts of damage. The entire game revolves around these huge trolls coming in and just walking straight past your defense. If an enemy gets through, it's usually a troll. There are other enemies, of course. There's flying enemies that fly over ground traps, and gnoll hunters who ignore the rift and come straight for you. Last thing I want to talk about is the story. The story is very bland and very short. The story really only comes in every few levels. You might get a quick cutscene at the end of every few levels, but other than that, the story kinda takes a backseat. It's not very good. It's a basic, you have to protect the world from orcs and stop them from getting through rifts. Although the entire game takes place in hallways, takes place in levels, you never really explore outside, and you don't really see much of outside. It's more so an afterthought that they had to throw in. It's not exactly this big masterpiece. The whole game can be completed in less than 15 hours, so you could just skip your way through the story and not really care about it. I won't spoil it, but it's very simple, and I don't really like it. After you beat the game, though, you can always go back and try to get high scores on previous levels. By the time you have late game items, when you're going back to the start of the game, you can literally just one-shot entire waves with the flame bracers, so I didn't really have too fun going back and playing levels I already played. Even while you're playing the game, by the time you get certain items and traps, you can just one-shot everything in the game anyway. There were some levels where not a single orc got through on my first ever try in the level, so going back to easier levels with more powerful equipment was very boring. So we played through the game, we beat off the levels, we got off the unlocks, so let's see, did I like the game, and would I recommend playing Orcs Must Die, a game released in 2011, in 2026? Yes, I would recommend. If you couldn't tell by now, I had an absolute blast playing Orcs Must Die. Although it came out in 2011, I thought the art style still held up, I thought the graphics still held up, the humor was still amazing, and the levels were fun and intricate. I just absolutely love Orcs Must Die. It's a very nostalgic game to me, but this show is called No Nostalgia, where we play it in 2026, and it's still good, it still holds up. So yes, I would say if you can get the game on sale, I think it's worth 10 or 12 hours to play through the game and experience Orcs Must Die. So yeah, I'm a small YouTuber, so a like and a subscribe and a comment goes a long way. If you liked it, share it with some people you know that might like Orcs Must Die. I'm a cat with a video essay, and I'll see you next time.